And a good Wednesday afternoon, everyone. Roger Hill, VELCO Weather Hzards forecaster. This is your VELCO Weather Outlook, and the main hazards will be pretty minimal and just some lake effect flurries and mountain snow showers. Accumulations will be generally around trace to a couple of inches of very fluffy snowfall for the next couple days. It'll start to add up, especially in the northern Green Mountains, and really it's all about the flow. You can see that this is an area of low pressure here, the flow bringing down much colder air, spinning that across the Great Lakes. The lakes are relatively warm. Moisture then gets picked up and downwind converges to these plumes. Lake effect plumes are pretty nasty sometimes, and east of Lake Erie we've seen hitting Buffalo, east of Lake Ontario, Watertown, and so on and so forth. Now the flow of air wiggles back and forth just a little bit, and so it's kind of like a piece of spaghetti. It kind of works across northern areas and then maybe central areas, back to the north, back to the south, and so on and so forth. That's going to be the case over the next several days. We're looking at multiple small, minor shortwave troughs within this flow, and that's going to enhance the snow each time or knock it back with a little ridge of higher pressure rolling on through, but very quick timed. Overall, we're looking at colder than normal conditions through about Sunday, probably Sunday night, and then what could be a major warm-up. Let's take a look at the current winds across the region. Nothing that's going to cause any kind of impacts, but a little gusty at times, where the pressure gradient is a little bit tighter from an area of higher pressure down here, and of course this area of low pressure up in the Hudson Bay, north of the Great Lakes. More jet stream energy will get entangled, and eventually high pressure will build in, and that will rotate and work its way off the coast and kind of allow a feed of much warmer air, but that's going to be beyond this outlook period. But that period looks like a much busier weather pattern around the corner, but that's not for some days to come. Let's take a look at the modeling. This is a temperature anomaly about 850 millibars or hectopascals, about the layer atop Mount Mansfield, say 4,500 feet. And so consequently, this shows anomalous cold temperatures, and you can see the purples here, that's colder than normal. The bright reds and even the whites are well above normal. And it's interesting to note we have high latitude blocking that's producing much warmer than normal conditions up to the north of the region. That's caused a lot of displacement of the most coldest air in the Arctic to get forced southward, and indeed, this is what we've been seeing. Also, a lot of warmth across the eastern Pacific Ocean that's working its way across the west. Right now we have this scenario here. This is the European, this is the GFS ensemble. They're pretty close, so we're going to run the computer model just about every day here. So this would be tonight, we're looking at tomorrow. So our coldest air is going to come on through, and you get kind of a secondary batch here that's going to kind of develop for the eastern part of the country, and we're going to be right on the edge of that. Look at the warmth that's going to be starting to sag southward. An unusual direction to work in across Canada and that warming temperature, but what ends up happening is you get these big broad areas of higher pressure, and the return flow kind of does this sort of thing. So the warmth is up in Canada, and that's going to move south, and indeed this is what it's showing. Note that the coldest conditions are now over the Atlantic, and the western Atlantic at that, and then we have more warmer air starting to work in. Now this will be turning the corner along about Sunday or Monday. And it is interesting to note that this real warm stuff here is going to make it back into the region. And this, when you see this, basically it's going to be warm enough to rain. Of course, this is well beyond the period, the outlook period. So we got good agreement with the GFS ensemble and the European ensemble as well. Look at the warmth here to end the month of January and then go into the month of February. So anomalous cold currently right now, that's going to all change to anomalous warmth like a switch. Let's take a look at the other computer modeling. European on the left, GFS ensemble on the right, and taking a look at the 1 o'clock in the afternoon 18Z, and you can see the lake effect plumes coming off Lake Erie as well as Lake Ontario coming in from the west-southwest. Same kind of thing here with the GFS ensemble. Now, as we move the model along here for tonight, you can see it's kind of like a little more enhanced. Precipitation starts to work on in. This is valid later in the afternoon on Thursday. And then that kind of falls apart. Ridge of higher pressure builds in. This is an Arctic front. And this is another front that's kind of a disturbance that's going to be staying to the south of the region, kind of exiting off the more of the middle Atlantic coast and making it into southern parts of New England, maybe a little bit of southern Vermont. But overall, it's this Arctic front here, as we're going to watch kind of a reinforcing shot of colder air. Higher pressure then builds in, it ridges behind it, and then we have this warmer air returning around this area of higher pressure. This is valid 21st of January on Sunday. And then as we get into the last day of the outlook period, Monday, you can see that we still have this Arctic front that's leftovers, you might say, that's going to try to drape across the region. This is the rain that's going to be moving on in, a little bit of mixed precipitation types, and indeed a little bit of wet snow as well. This is beyond the outlook period now, and what we're looking at there is probably somewhere along about Tuesday, and then high pressure builds back on Wednesday, short-lived, and I'll just run it as far as it goes. This would be the 26th of, that would be basically Thursday night, Friday morning, and you can see that we have nasty rain moving back into the region. East Coast not quite as active, but some stuff going on, of course, and this is a big area of moisture that's affecting the Texas Gulf Coast and whatnot, but look at the West Coast. It's very, very active with the flow coming in off that warmer Pacific Ocean right now. This pretty much says it all. There's your anomalous cold. It's in deep Texas there. And what you're looking at here is the cold that stretches into British Columbia, southern Alaska. Much warmer than normal. That's the current conditions. We're going to see this kind of work its way southward. Arctic chill continues in the high plains and pretty much east of the Rockies. It's warming up out to the west. 3 days later, it looks like this. Some inroads here, some warmer air up to the north that's going to try to sag south, and we go from colder than normal to neutral conditions with the 3 to 7 day MOS meteorological output statistics. Very oddball, anomalous kind of weather pattern that we've been seeing over the course of this winter across North America, just like last summer and of course into the fall. Well, we had that uptick in late November of snowfall, then it was a snow drought, and now a big catch-up, and that catch-up is, this is for North America, so it's pretty high there. It's working on a more outlier, snowier conditions right now for the North America. For the Northern Hemisphere, it looks like this. You can see that we're in the sort of the middle pack, if you will. And it is interesting to note what's driving all of this is mainly North America at this point. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.